Hi everyone, I'm Hania, currently teaching and researching low carbon architecture at the University of Liverpool. The study I'm presenting today is part of my research during the time I spent in industry, and I should thank the developer, who doesn't want to be named, for allowing me to publish part of the results and share it with you today. I should also thank my co-author, Professor Steve Sharpless, for his edits, help and advice in writing this paper. The research I'm presenting today is on life cycle cost and carbon appraisal for a prefabricated residential development in London. I will start with this graph to take a look at the contribution of residential buildings to the UK climate change and CO2 emissions. As can be seen, the primary source of emission in the building sector come from heat consumption of natural gas in residential buildings for heating and hot water. Despite the government's announcement on ending gas heating in new homes and the UK's 2080 net zero target, fossil fuels continue to play a significant role in residential energy use. There is still no guidance on how to meet the challenges involved in reaching net zero, and what the developers are mainly concerned is how much it would cost to meet the target. Therefore, today I'm going to share the life cycle cost analysis of the opportunities for low carbon solutions and renewable energy generation in a mid-rise residential development. The development consists of 77 residential units and approximately 2,300 square meter of flexible communal floor areas. The assessments are based on a typical 2-bedroom, 85 square meter floor area. Top floor apartment has been selected, as it is highlighted in the figure, as it is the worst case scenario due to the fabric exposure. The table shows the proposed construction measures applied to the residential building for the selected scenarios. The values represent a cross-laminated timber, CLT, which is usually used for off-site construction method. And the values are selected to meet UK building regulations for new residential buildings. The assessment, as mentioned before, was carried out to assist an off-site construction developer in making an informed decision on the optimum design of mechanical and electrical plant and energy solution arrangements to meet the government's cost and carbon reduction targets. Therefore, 3 primary heating plants, central gas boiler, electric heating and hot water, and central air-to-water heat pump were compared. For clean and green technologies, solar hot water system, photovoltaic, and combined heat and power technology were selected. As well as technical appraisals and conformance with planning policies, the developer wanted their decisions to be based on the broader life cycle costing. So the life cycle costing framework suggested in the British Standard 8444 has been applied to calculate the construction, operation, maintenance and replacement costs over the operational life, 30 years of running the building. The analysis has been done to identify the solutions which are most likely to result in the lowest energy cost bills for the occupants, and to understand the capital cost of achieving that lowest energy costs. Therefore, based on the aims and objectives, the first graph I'm presenting shows the breakdown of energy costs including the energy generation from renewables, which has been presented in minus green bars. The costs are presented from cumulative lowest to the highest energy costs as a label in the graph. The communal energy costs figures are what the apartment occupiers would pay to cover the energy cost, heat, regulated and unregulated electricity for the communal spaces. Okay, so you can see that air source heat pump and solar hot water scenario has the lowest energy cost, and electric options have the highest energy cost. But decisions are usually made based on capital cost, capital expenditure, capex, and not energy costs. Therefore, I have added the capital cost of each scenario to the energy cost graph, and you can see the scenario with the lowest energy cost incurs high capital costs. Replacement and maintenance costs are usually ignored in option appraisal, while they play an important role in decision making. This graph therefore compares the net present value of capital and operational costs over 30 years of running the building. You can see here that the gas boiler options, as they have components with longer life expectancy, have the lowest life cycle cost. The gray bar at the top, the gray bars at the top of the graph show the replacement costs, and as the life expectancy of air source heat pump is only 15 years, you can see the replacement cost of air source heat pump options are quite high. Among three primary plant options presented, electric options have the highest energy, maintenance, and life cycle cost, but still popular options with developers, as this is a simple technology and low risk technology to apply. I have also compared the CO2 emission of the 8 scenarios with the capital cost, and you can see if the decision is made based on the capital cost, the developer would go for the options and scenarios with the highest CO2 emission, and air source heat pump options have the lowest CO2 emission. Looking at different operational costs and carbon emission of various scenarios shows that gas boiler options have the lowest life cycle cost. So if we want to shift to clean and green technology from gas boiler to provide heat, incentives and tighter and stricter regulations are required to encourage developers and homeowners to consider these options. They exist, but government keep ending and chopping and changing these policies. We had zero carbon homes, code for sustainable homes, feed-in tariffs. These are examples in the UK. So a consistent policy environment keep investment low risk and reduces the cost of capital and provides clear signal to the consumer and give businesses the confidence to build UK-based supply chain and shift toward low carbon cities at the end. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me, tania@liverpool.ac.uk. Thanks.